Hello, friends. We've got a lot to get to because we've been doing a lot of work.
You sound like a moderator in a political debate. We have a lot to cover. We have a lot to cover. Every time you say something, I'm just going to say, we have a lot to get to.
Okay, let's go beyond this because we've got a lot to get
We've got a lot to get through. That's what it was. We've got a lot to get through.
We've got a lot to get through. And so bear with us here, people, please. We're going to cut your mics off.
Yeah.
Welcome back, friends, to another episode of Restoring Hope. A lot going on over here.
We do actually have a lot to get through.
We do have a lot to get through.
But I will not cut off your mic.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
There is no mic.
Will you cut off my mic?
Yes.
Okay. That'd probably make a lot of people happy.
First thing that we want to talk about, though, is the hurricane that has come up and ravaged our country and destroyed homes and whole towns.
So many people still missing.
It's
unfathomable. You and I are both old enough that we remember Katrina. Like, it was like, that stuff was like recent history to me.
Yes.
Even though many of you probably weren't even alive when it happened. And I am a little baffled. I feel, and maybe it's because we're so close to the election cycle and there's so many other big things going on in the world, but I feel like this disaster is as big and is potentially going to end up being bigger once we find all the missing people than Katrina was. But is it getting nearly the coverage and the attention that Katrina did? And I don't quite understand that.
You actually mobilized our nation, our group of people that we love so much, some of you, and put together some efforts to actually help in a specific city. So tell them all about it.
One of the cities that I guarantee you haven't seen on the news that was obscenely impacted was Louisville, Georgia. And that, of course, is where Louise was, the first house that we ever started sharing restoring on social media, and it's the reason that we have the audience that we have. Louisville, the way that community embraced us, the way they supported us through our restoration efforts there, the friends we made, all of that is so integral to what we are and what we have, and just this community that we've built, that we felt like we needed to give our support to a community that's probably getting less attention because it's not the big dramatic loss that we see in North Carolina. It's huge loss, but there wasn't a mudslide.
And people we know and care about and so are impacted. We
came to you and to our Instagram community I actually made the Amazon wish list and put the Venmo request out for support at 1:00 in the afternoon on Monday when we left Arkansas to come back to Mississippi. I said, hey, let's do this fundraiser. This will be incredible. By 9:00 that night, we had raised almost just under $15,000 in this community that has all been sent in the form of physical supplies. They asked us not to send money. They said we have no way to spend money. Sending money does us no good. So we had one of our wonderful members. We had two members. Everybody stepped up to the plate to give. It was unbelievable. So to each and every one of you who gave financially and took time to do that, you have 1,000 million thank yous from us. But we had two members who kind of went above and beyond. One was Susan Curtin, she is a super shopper, and she wanted us to get the biggest bang for our buck that we could with our money that was given. So she went to town and did research on where is it cheapest, where is it available, and here are the coupons. Then we sent a few $1,000s to a young man, Ethan Bilheim, in Florida, who lives about 7 hours from Louisville, and said, here's the shopping list, Ethan. We need to get some things to people today because the rest of it was on Amazon. It was going to take a week or so to get there. Ethan took Susan's shopping list, went to Walmart, Costco. There were several places he went, loaded up his mom's van, and drove. He shopped Tuesday night, got up at 4:00 in the morning on Wednesday morning, drove into Louisville, and was able to make that first delivery of baby formula, diapers, non-perishable food items like peanut butter, crackers, tuna fish, feminine hygiene products, dog food, cat food. I can't even remember what all now that we sent.
Batteries.
Batteries.
Everything that they said they needed. Now, they did already have water from FEMA, we think, delivered water and some gasoline.
And some ice.
And ice. And so we filled a great need there. And you filled a great need there. Yes. And you mobilized these people. And just so thankful for this community, for all the support that you give us, but then the support that you give
One
throughout
another.
the people that need it.
I told my mom last night, we were talking on the phone, I said it's so easy in today's world with what we see on the news and then a lot of the feedback that we get online to believe that everybody's bad, to believe that people are cruel and mean and hate each other. But you see something like this happen and you realize, no, people are very good. They're very, very good, and they do care about their fellow man. And Kevin made a really wonderful point. I'm going to articulate it for you because...
Please, because you'll do it way better than I did. Sure.
We know that when we have, we have nearly 150,000 people here that engage with us. We have 150,000 people on Instagram that engage with us. We have 50,000 people on TikTok that engage with us, 20,000 on Facebook. Invariably, that's not an echo chamber. These are people from all areas of the world, all areas of the country, all economic backgrounds, all racial backgrounds, all religious backgrounds, all political backgrounds. We have an incredibly diverse group of people who engage in this community. And it shows that when it comes down to helping your fellow man, none of that matters. It's about people helping people and stepping up to the plate to make a difference for one another. And I think that's a really valuable lesson that we all need to keep in mind, especially over the next, say, 2 or 3 months.
Yes. People are generally good, and we see it every day, and we are very thankful.
Yes, and so thank you to all of you.
Yes, thank you all. So let's get to some of the things we've been working on.
Well, there was one other thing we were going to talk about. Speaking of people who are generally good, sometimes they're mean. Let's go ahead and talk about that. Let's just talk about the elephant that's not in the room anymore. Look at that second topic right there.
Oh, yes.
So, let's just talk about it right now. Many of you are going to see some shots of me full body in this video. And you're going to feel the need to comment on my weight and say, oh my God, you're either going to comment on it, which you shouldn't do, or you're not going to comment on it and you're going to think it. I've lost 30 pounds in the last 3 months. And so many of you are going to leave snotty little comments like, what weight loss drug are you on? Are you on the shots? Because people have done it to me on Facebook. Here's the deal. In June, I started having some really scary symptoms, and I went to the doctor. They did some blood work, and I found out that my liver enzymes way out of whack. And the doctor said the solution to this problem is eating better and exercising. And I think we can both admit that I had a terrible diet. I pretty much existed on cupcakes and cinnamon rolls. I mean, really.
Mine's not any better, so I can't say anything for sure. But you turned your diet around completely
overnight.
180 degrees overnight. Started eating so clean and no preservatives, no sugar, no caffeine. I mean, caffeine, you guys know.
Brown is
her life, and now
life.
it's water.
Uh-huh.
So
like raw veggies, steamed veggies, raw fruit. Dessert now is like blueberries and walnuts, grilled chicken, grilled fish. And you can lose a lot of weight, low sodium. I mean, it's pretty crazy, the diet change. And so, yes, I have lost 30 pounds. We're just going to get it right out there.
Yes.
I look really different. I'm glad. I feel better. I haven't had my liver numbers checked again. We're going to be about the end of the month. But either way, I feel great. And that's no judgment on anybody who loses weight using Ozempic or Mounjaro. I thought about it. I'm not going to lie. I thought about it, but I'm scared of needles. But it's been for health reasons. So,
yes.
Now
I've lost 30 pounds, and you can too. All you have to do is never enjoy food again.
Stop eating anything that tastes good.
No, she's created some, different ways to eat clean and different recipes
being real positive about
that are pretty good. And so
they're pretty good,
I've actually lost a couple of pounds just by eating some of the clean with her.
Nothing tastes as good as a cupcake, though. I'm sorry, and I'm sorry. I don't care what Coco Chanel said. Things do taste better than Denfils. I'm sorry, they do. I would much rather be pleasantly plump and have cupcakes, but here we are. So let's move on to restoration.
That's what has happened. So let's get to restoration. Okay. Primarily what has been going on. Primordially what is going on.
It's because of the ooze.
Is that we are stripping the front facade.
Nope. We're stripping the facade. The facade is the front.
Well, it's not the back facade.
Well, there is no back facade. There's the back elevation. Front facade is repetitively redundant.
All right. Go to your ATM machine and put in your PIN number and PIN. personal identification number.
Yeah.
So PIN number would be redundant.
Yeah, repetitively redundant. But see, I'm trying to help people out.
I'm telling them all of the things that people use.
That are repetitively redundant?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's just kind of that's
ATM machine, that's repetitively redundant.
It is. What are some other ones?
PIN number is redundant.
Yeah, there's a lot of them that are.
Oh, I don't know.
ATM
that's plenty.
machine?
I said that
Oh,
3
did you?
times.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You're not listening to me.
I'm not. Well,
anyway, okay.
Okay, look.
Y'all.
But as a preservationist, as a historic...
It's going to be a 9,000-minute video.
Well, we can cut out a lot of this. But I want to say, as a historic preservationist, we do a lot to educate people on the appropriate terms and things. And it is important because I see this mistake a lot. The front of your house is the facade. Every other side is an elevation. So you have the facade, and then we would have the north, south, and east elevations. Or you could say the rear elevation, but the front is the facade.
Yes.
So there.
Okay.
Sorry. I don't mean to correct you, but it's just a thing
too
that I
late.
see a
It's
lot
done.
that makes my, it gives me the ick a little bit.
All right. So where was I? The front facade. I knew that'd get you. We've been stripping and stripping and stripping the paint away because we are going to repair and then have a faux finish put.
We're going to replicate the finish from 1830.
On the front facade.
Yes! So our good dear friend, who actually happens to be a distant cousin of mine, that's another crazy thing about social media, Brooke Russell, who works for Evergreen Architectural Arts, they are architectural conservators, came down to Natchez, Mississippi. She did microscopy on the front of the house. Her microscopy revealed that the facade...
the front of it.
Hope originally was painted to mimic a beautiful pink Tennessee marble. So we are going to have that replicated. But first, what has to happen?
We got to get rid of, how many layers do you think of paint there are there?
I was so silly. When I first looked at the house, I was like, look, it's just 3 layers of paint. I was so wrong. I don't know how many layers there are.
It's extremely difficult because there are layers and layers. There's latex, there's oil maybe?
Well, I don't know. I really think there are about 700 coats of latex paint.
Really?
I really do, because the way it's peeling off and the consistency as it comes off, lead paint or oil paint should be, it should break in these squares. Like there should be a very definitive pattern of loss, and I'm not getting that with the removal. It's coming off as this like one very gooey, stretchy sheet, and it shouldn't do that if it's any kind of lead or oil-based paint. So I think what we have is the original lime wash, which was that beautiful blush. Then we have just a barely later white lime wash over the top of that.
Right.
And then 1,000 layers of latex paint.
So how many hours do you think we've spent? I mean, you've been up there 9 hours to every one that I've been, but at least.
It's been, I've worked for 2 weeks, at least part of every day, some days all day for 2 weeks, and I'm nowhere close to
it's not really even that many square feet,
no,
considering there are 3 doors and 5 windows.
Something like that.
4 windows.
Well, it's a 9-bay house, right? So we have 9 holes across the front. But the labor intensive amount of work, because not only are we stripping paint, but we're also removing incompatible materials that are in there. So it's kind of a twofold process. And
what's sad is, I mean, once you get those out, it looks kind of worse than it did before, because now you see all the cracks.
I actually kind of like it. Is that weird? I look at it and kind of feel like, I don't know, I like it. I would want to leave it like that, but I feel like it looks better with its flaws. I don't know, maybe I look at it and feel like it looks like ancient Rome, and like that appeals to me in some way.
I guess so, yeah. All right, Laine is giddy right now. So explain to the folks what's going on. Yes.
Okay. I feel like I'm pretending, but I'm not. I'm so excited. We had microscopy done on the front of the house, but of course when you do microscopy, you take these tiny, tiny little samples, right? Just little gouges out. And you send them off, and my friend who works for Evergreen Architectural Arts, Brooke Russell, did the microscopy.
Hi, Brooke.
You can see that in an earlier video. And she came back and said, I think the front of your house was glazed in a mineral glaze to look like pink Tennessee marble. And we've been uncovering, so we're peeling back all of this original paint. We're going to put that back. And I've been finding little spots, like there's little spots of pink everywhere. So yeah, we can see that it was pink. But this came off almost as one piece. So all the layers released together, and I'm kind of having to like roll these little last bits off, but you can see that this, you can see it. It's the one place you can see it.
It's hard to see on the camera how
okay.
Yeah.
Well, let me show you something. So if I get out of the light, you can see the pink so clearly. And then this is the first place that we have been able to see the gray veining. There's a vein that runs all here, here, here. There's a large chunk of the veining left here. There's a ton of the veining left here. And no, absolutely not. This is not from the fire. This was completely sealed under about 6 coats of paint. So this has nothing to do with charring or fire. This is exposing the original marbling for the first time probably since 1830. We think this was done in 1830. So this is the first time this has been seen in 200 years, and I'm so excited. My little archaeologist wannabe, when I was in elementary school, and my dream was to grow up and be an archaeologist, is loving picking this off and revealing this. I feel like I am an archaeologist in Pompeii, and I'm looking at a fresco that hasn't been seen in 2,000 years.
There you
so,
go.
very excited. Like you can see here, see if you can see this line. It's a very distinct line right there. There's a pretty distinct line right there. You can see one right here. There's one right there. And then this is more of the solid gray with a little bit of the pink behind it.
It is a good day at Hope Farm when I roll up and I got a new toy to play with. I gotta tell you, this is gonna come in so handy. This is the Jackery 2000 V2 generator. It's a solar generator with a 200 watt solar panels that come with it. And I tell you why that's so useful around here. We're constantly needing power. Now we do have a power pole, but it's limited. And we've got crews working back there on the gallery right now. Laine and I are working on the front gallery, trying to get it ready for our paint project. And we need power everywhere. And a lot of times we're tripping that power. So to have this generator is gonna be so handy. We're going to unpack this baby and see what it can do. You know we get weather down here. We're really close to the coast. And sometimes we get tropical storms, even hurricanes. And this generator is designed to replace traditional fuel power generators, aligning with Jackery's mission of promoting green and sustainable living. What you get with the Jackery 2000 V2 solar generator is an effortless solution for home power stability. Y'all, I'm about to put this generator to the maximum test. With a heat gun now, these things suck so much electricity, and if it'll run this, it'll run just about anything. So we've been using this on the exterior of the house here, trying to get all this old paint off, and we've done a lot, but it still has more yellow that has to come off. So let's see if it'll run this heat gun. There it goes, can you see? Working. The 2000 V2 is a cleaner, quieter, more user-friendly experience, giving you peace of mind and keeping your home powered safely and sustainably during critical moments. With the Jackery 2000 V2, you get instant power and no installation. Nothing like using a heat gun on a hot day, but it's necessary. We've got to do it, and I'm not drawing electricity from everybody else that's using electricity. I've got my own little station here, so this is really ideal. We're attacking this wall with stripper and scrapers and heat guns and sanders. I mean, it's taken everything to get all these bad materials and all this old paint off of this so that we can properly fix these cracks and to put a new faux finish on the front of this house. Is going to be really cool. The Jackery 2000 V2 solar generator offers eco-friendly backup power with 2,042 watts capacity and 2,200 watt output. It's cleaner, safer, and sustainable. It's perfect for reliable, worry-free power during outages. Check out the Jackery 2000 V2 on the official store. We'll have links in the description, and I think you'll love this generator.
First, we're going to tell you how we're getting the paint off to start with, because this is the best This is not a sponsored post. We spend so much money with this company, so much money on this product, but
they need to be a sponsor.
They do need to be a sponsor. Why have we never reached out to them?
I don't know.
The best product on the market for paint removal, no matter what you're removing paint from. So here we go. We're going to return it to that period so the whole exterior of the house looks like it would have in the 1830s, maybe early 1840s, with the Greek Revival touches. So the first thing we have to do, because we'll be using either oil-based paints or mineral-based paints, we haven't quite decided yet what's going to be the best for wear, is we have to get this latex paint off. But because, I don't know if you can see, this plaster on the exterior, the stucco, is actually textured to have a stone-like finish. We don't want to use harsh stripping methods. We want to make sure that we can ensure that all of this texture remains in place and that we get the paint out of all the little dips and grooves. So the best thing to do is a water or soy-based stripper like Smart Strip. We'll put a big thick coat on it. We'll cover that in saran wrap. We'll let it sit overnight, maybe a couple of days. Come back with a plastic scraper and scrape it off, and we'll have a nice clean surface for our artists to make this look like Tennessee marble. So I'm using Smart Strip by Dumond. It's our favorite product that is on the market. It's also our favorite product that they use, that they have. They are also the ones who do peel away. I'm not a fan of peel away because if you don't neutralize peel away properly, you can get some white shadowing, and if you're not a pro with it, you can have problems on your woodwork. So if you intend to stain your woodwork when you're done stripping, I highly suggest the Smart Strip or the Smart Strip Pro. If you know you have lead-based paints underneath, you're going to want to use the Smart Strip Pro because it encapsulates your lead. Now, my next step, you can see I've done it over here, is I'm going to cover it with saran wrap. Dumond sells a special paper that you're supposed to put over the top of this. With the peel away, it's more important that you use that paper because you need the density and the thickness when you start to peel it away to kind of hold that stripper in place. But with a Smart Strip, you don't need that paper. I saw this woman on a Facebook group the other day arguing that the paper is an important part of the process. No, it's not. It doesn't do anything except keep the oxygen from hitting this and drying it out. So that's why we put saran wrap over it. We just saran wrap it like it's our potluck Sunday dish that we've come home with after Sunday potluck lunch at church. We want to keep it in the refrigerator. We want to keep it fresh. We're going to cover it with saran wrap. Same thing here. We want to keep the air out until we're ready to pull the paint off. Cover it with saran wrap. Once you pull it off, your paint should just glide right off.
Well, Laine is going to walk you through all of the wrong materials that have been used and the right materials to use.
Are you creeping?
I am.
Are you trying to document my Sisyphean task that will never be done?
Well, what's sad is it looks like it's as yellow as it ever was on camera, especially.
Well, there's a reason. So I'll make you get a shot, but over here the paint's gone. There's no paint left on the stucco. This is original stucco. I don't know how much we've told you yet, so we're gonna tell you again. This is original stucco from probably 30 or 40, when they added on the gallery, extended the house for the final time, and they did this ashlar block scoring. So this is hydraulic lime stucco on the front of the house. They probably used oyster shells out of the Mississippi River and sand from the Mississippi River to create this render. So it's an incredible, amazing historic material. There's a couple problems with it. First of all, they've covered over it with 10,000 coats of different types of paint, mostly in later years latex paint, which this highly textured surface, if you could feel it, it feels like a high grit sandpaper. Where it's painted, it's completely smooth. That's how much paint's on it. But the bottom layers of paint have done something called powdering in. And powdering in is a process that preservationists, it makes us quake in our boots, because what that means is we're never going to be able to get all the pigment out. The bottom coats of pigment have been covered and covered and covered. This stucco has tried to continue to breathe because this material should be able to breathe. So with the cold, the freeze and the thaw cycle, it's continued to become very porous and then close, very porous and then close. And what happens is the bottom layers of pigment break down into their kind of powdery form, and they actually leach into the substrate, into the render, and they dye the render. So we're never gonna get all the yellow out. I'm gonna work for weeks to get the yellow paint off, and then you're gonna stand back and it's still gonna look like a yellow house until I put mineral primer over it.
But we're going to be okay to come back and paint it now that we've gotten the latex off, right?
Yes, we'll be able to come back, we'll put a mineral primer on it that itself is textured. Well, that's after we fix all the cracks. We'll put a textured mineral primer on it, and then we'll use mineral paints to go over the top. There are some really fun spots. Hang on, I'm gonna get down from this ladder. I'm gonna show you a couple really fun spots.
Okay.
This is a really great spot to show you something fascinating. So do you see this pink? Can you see it on camera? This pink
I don't know.
spludge?
Can't tell.
Yeah, you can right there. It kind of looks like a stain on camera, but in person, it's this beautiful blushy pink tone, and it's everywhere. We'll show you some more spots here in a second. There's some here. What this is this is the original color that was applied to the stucco in 1830 when they applied this ashlar block scoring. And the reason that it's A, still here, and B, that we can still tell the color, is because it was applied when the stucco was still slightly wet. Just like, so when you hear the word fresco, frescoes are applied, they would put up the plaster and then they would apply the paint while the plaster was still slightly damp, and that allowed those colors to get into the plaster and saturate. It's one of the reasons why we have Roman frescoes that are 2,000 years old. It's because they are actually part of that stucco substrate and render. And that's what's happened here. So we have a lot of hints of the original color, the original marbling that was on the front of this house. It was made to look like Tennessee pink marble, and we still have it because it was applied. This is a lime wash. Lime wash is a sacrificial element. It should have disappeared in the 200 years it's been up here. It should have washed off. But because it became one with this render, it's still here, and we can see what color the house was and what paint techniques were applied to it originally. And we love it. It makes me really excited even when I have a migraine. We're usually giving you how-to videos. This is a how not to video. And right here is a great spot to show you how not to fix your historic hydraulic lime stucco. So this product can still be purchased. You can ticky online, hydraulic lime stucco. Now, inside you're gonna use hydrolated lime plaster, 2 different products. Type in hydraulic lime stucco. We have boxes of it in here we've ordered. But over the years, there have been repairs done to this house so badly. Now, again, I want to emphasize, we're not faulting previous owners. What you don't know, you don't know. And there were many decades before Google, and people who didn't know, didn't have the education, couldn't get on Google and couldn't get on YouTube and find out. So please don't take this as a critique. This is a learning moment. This is what not to do. So here, you see this gray? All this gray? This is from the Portland cement that I have cleaned out of all these cracks. At some point, somebody came in here and used Portland cement to patch this stucco. It eventually failed. When we bought the house, even under the paint, the layers of paint, we could see cracks because it's never gonna bond correctly and it's going to crack again. What it also does is it doesn't allow this stucco to breathe like it needs to do. Again, the freeze-thaw cycle, moisture goes in, it needs to come out. You put a nice hard coat of Portland cement over the top of that, it can't do that anymore. And so this crack has just continued to get deeper and deeper and deeper. It causes more damage in the long run. Then we have, here we go.
Oh yeah.
This is, you know what this is, Kevin?
Yes.
What is it?
This is
drywall mud.
Drywall mud.
I can see that you lost the word.
Oh yeah.
This is drywall compound. This is clay. So we have lime and sand mixed with clay. Clay, once it's exposed to any moisture, is going to crack and release. Now, this hasn't been exposed to moisture, so it's not starting to fall out yet, but I guarantee you what I'm gonna do to get it out is I'm gonna spray some water on it, it's gonna melt and come right out. You don't wanna use drywall compound on your exterior surfaces. It had already cracked again. There were lots of places that it had already fallen out. This is just one place that it hadn't yet. And then our third and final material, come over here with me. Walk with me. Walk with me.
Walk and talk.
Let's do a walk and talk. This is the one that if I could get a hold of who did this, I would slap somebody right in the face. This is caulk, silicone caulk. So they had put silicone caulk in this crack, and then they put drywall compound over the top, so it was like a twofer for me. So I'm having to dig it out. Well, again, it doesn't react appropriately with the material. So the cracks had reappeared at the top and the bottom of the silicone caulk, but it's been driven down into this crack. It's grabbed on to that sand that's in the render. And so I'm raw. I have cuts and scrapes all over me from trying to dig this out of the cracks. So when you have a hydraulic lime stucco exterior, which if you have a historic home that has a stucco exterior, I guarantee you it's hydraulic lime stucco, purchase the proper material to patch it. It will save you so much time in the long run, and it will save future generations from having to go back and redo repairs that were done poorly to begin with, and it will stop the bleeding process. This house is bleeding out because these cracks, because they've been patched incorrectly, they're continuing to get larger. Chunks are continuing to fall out. It's causing more problems in the long run. And so do it right the first time. It may be more difficult, may take you longer, but it's going to save you so much time and money in the long run.
First thing we've got to do is fix all of these cracks now that we've got it back to its base, taking all the improper materials out. Now we've got to fix the cracks.
So let me tell you how to fix the cracks. You see this huge crack up here, and how it's a huge crack and it looks very sandy and gritty. Let's see. Yeah, I think I've cleaned it all out where I found it so far. So what happened there is, at some point, someone came back in and they used the correct product in the incorrect way. So this is fundamentally sand and crushed oyster shells. Very porous material. It's very dry and it's very porous. I can put water on this material, soak it, and you can literally see it soak into this product. So if I came back in here and I mixed up my new hydraulic lime stucco, a wet product, and I applied it to this dry product, the existing dry product is going to leach out the water from the new product I've put in, meaning that it's going to take the water out too fast and not give that new patch time to cure properly. It's going to completely defeat the purpose, and it's going to leave that new patch in a sandy, unstable state. It's going to make it look just like it did when we opened up the package to begin with. So what we're going to do is we're going to soak the stone wet. We're going to get it soaking wet. Then we're going to apply our wet product so it can have a dry time together. This isn't going to soak up the water from our new product, and both the old render and the new render will have a chance to dry together, and we'll make a nice cohesive bond.
Yay, the end.
Do it right. Now, then we're really excited because we talked about Ethan Bilheim at the beginning, who drove to Louisville with supplies. His brother, there's twins, Austin, is an artist for Universal Studios in Florida. So you go to Universal Studios, you see all those incredible signs,
The faux wood signs and all of that stuff. That's what he does.
Austin he paints those. He's an artist at Universal Studios. And so he is going to come middle to end of October and do the faux finish, the faux marbling on the front of the house.
And then we're going to put a roller coaster in the backyard.
He's not an engineer. He's an artist.
Oh, okay. He doesn't do that part of Universal.
No,
okay.
No, absolutely not. That would be fun, though.
Yes.
So that is that process. Now we're also having to take latex paint off of the bricks. Yes, the foundation of this house originally would have been whitewashed, but someone's painted it with latex paint. So let me show you what's going on there. So I wanted Kevin to come video this, even though we're not actually doing this project right now. We will be soon. And I'm coming over here and doing just little bits at a time, as you can see. But this is a lesson on don't paint your historic brick. I know that painted brick is de rigueur right now. It's like,
look at that.
Everybody wants to, we got problems over here. Everybody wants to do it. It's very trendy. Everybody's slapping paint on their historic home. You don't want to do it. You're literally killing your house. So this is latex paint on this exterior level. And really, I think all these levels of this are latex paint. And you see how it's just peeling right off? It's because the brick is rejecting it. This material and this material do not work together. So a quick chemistry lesson for you in simple terms. This is historic brick, probably made in this is the oldest part of the house. So this this brick could have been made as early as 1789 from materials on site in a fire in the backyard. So it is low fire brick, inconsistent materials, not really structurally terribly sound in the way that we think of modern brick, where it is the chemical makeup is exactly the same every single time. The heat that it's fired at is even every single time it's fired all the way through and completely. This is a different material entirely. This is a homemade brick, and it's a little more unstable. So it needs to be able to breathe, even here in the South. In the winter, we're gonna get very, very cold. In the summer, we're gonna get very, very hot and humid. During the summer months, this brick is gonna suck in moisture because it's in the air and it's very porous. In the winter, that moisture is gonna wanna try to release into the drier, less humid air. It has to do that. Putting latex paint over the top of your brick is equivalent to putting a balloon over your mouth and nose and then saying, okay, go ahead and take a nice deep breath. You're not gonna do it, you're gonna suffocate and you're gonna die. And that's exactly what's happening here. So you see where this has popped off? You see I was scraping that? And that big chunk of brick fell out. And now we have the face of the brick that is the stable part is gone. And now we just have this interior, basically mud. That's what's gonna happen to your entire house. This mortar in here is lime mortar. it is supposed to be the sacrificial element. It is meant to allow the water to escape that comes out of these bricks. You will eventually have to repoint this mortar, but that's how it's supposed to be. That's what keeps this structurally sound, keeps the integrity here. If you block all of this and this sacrificial element can't do its job anymore, you're gonna lose your brick. It's gonna do this. This is called spalling, where the face explodes off and you're toast. Come inside with me and let me show you what happens when it does its job. And this is not a problem. Hang on. Okay. This area would cause a lot of people to panic. You're gonna look at this and be like, oh my gosh, all the mortar's gone. Panic? No. First of all, this is not paint. This is, you can tell this is a lime wash. You can actually see the little chunks of oyster shell. Like, this is a very early, probably original lime wash that was put on this wall. This probably was a dairy or a cold storage space when the house was first built, and this was washed up here just to give it a little bit of a finished appearance. And you see all of our mortar in here is dirt. And I'm sure you're like, oh my gosh, that's bad. It's really not. This mortar has been allowed to do its job. The other side of this brick is not painted, so it had a freeze-thaw cycle over 200 years. The water has been allowed to leach out of this lime mortar, so what we need to do is come back in here and repoint all of these areas, and our brick is nice and structurally sound. Now, something else of interest here. We do have some efflorescence in here. That is efflorescence. That is where, over many, many, many years, that's efflorescence too, right there. Because these bricks are made by local materials, there are minerals in the ground, salts, that as that freeze-thaw cycle occurs, if over time you're going to get that little coat on the outside. I mean, this coat, this is lime wash, this coat, and that's the minerals from inside the brick, and that's just a sign of moisture. Anytime bricks are sitting directly on the ground, you're probably going to get some efflorescence. Not ideal, but not terribly problematic as long as you control the source of the moisture. So we've got some things to do in here, some work to do, but we can get this under control. We do have some spalling right here, watch. But we can take this brick out, put a new one in, repoint that, it'll be just fine. These are things not to panic about in your historic home. Our objective is, though, we can fix these, but we're not gonna do anything to contribute to the further degrading of the historic structure, and we don't want you to either.
Flathead screws, my favorite.
So what are you doing, Kevin?
So we're taking all the hardware off of these doors. We've already taken all the shutters down because we're going to load those up and take them to New Orleans, where they still have a tub that we can dip these in to get all of the paint off of. So we're really excited that we're not going to have to strip all these by hand. You're just going to deliver them down to New Orleans. I'd rather drive there with a trailer than have to strip all of these. So getting them ready, we're going to haul them down.
Yeah, Kevin volunteered to drive the doors to New Orleans, and I volunteered to strip the front of the house.
Yes.
I chose unwisely. Okay?
Like you're going to pull the trailer down to New Orleans. Come on.
If I had known how hard stripping the front of this house was going to be, I might have chosen to drive to New Orleans.
Yes, but we're very excited that that's going to happen. So maybe in the next video we'll show you how those came out.
Because there was no way I was ever going to get the paint off those shutters. They also
the shutters,
had
yeah, especially
20,000 coats of paint. And what happened with the fire, it did us a lot of favors in that a lot of the paint, it caused to go ahead and, the latex paint, it caused to go ahead and bubble and crack, and it was peeling off a lot of the paint. Mm-hmm. But on the shutters, all it really did was show us there's 60,000 coats of paint on these shutters. We can't just kind of sand them and touch them up. They've got to be stripped bare. And how we were ever going to get in all those little nooks and crannies and on the louvers, it was just never going to happen. So, yay, they're getting dip stripped.
I know we told you that we have a carpentry genius here named John Cooper, who we absolutely love.
And genius is not an overstatement. Please don't think for a second that is being said in any way other than the most serious way.
I mean, if you know anything about carpentry, you know that there's a lot of math involved.
It's all
anyway.
Math. It's all math.
And so he's able to figure out how to do this. And so many pieces, trim pieces, railings, all of these things that we're trying to build back the gallery, which is what he's working on now, have to be custom made. And so first thing he's doing is he's custom making these knives. I know we showed you the rear gallery in our last restoring video. This time, it didn't actually have the finished trim on the capitals. And so he's created knives and cut these pieces of wood perfectly replicate what we've got on the front and what was originally there in the rear gallery.
Yeah, and then on the L gallery, ELL
gallery, we were fortunate enough to have the historical architectural building survey, the HABs. No, I thought they had it. What is it?
Historic American Building Survey.
Well, I think it should be architecture.
Very good.
I can never remember that.
You did it. If you're gonna flub it, that was
pretty good.
That was really good.
Okay. Anyway,
people would think you knew.
We have specific drawings of what the gallery materials were made of, which is really good because
to the dimension. Like in 1936, as part of Roosevelt's Works program, architects were sent out across the United States to measure these historic buildings that were important structures that they were afraid, could be lost over time, and they were measured. I mean, every bit of minutia was measured.
They are architectural drawings, so we have everything.
Where we had the most loss in the L, we have the most information. So John has taken those and has replicated the handrails. He started with these 6x6 beams and turned them into oval handrails.
It's fascinating. He had to pass those handrails. Was it 18 times or 8 times? I don't remember.
I thought it was 18 times because he had to
turn it through the table saw, and it's fascinating to watch. And so he creates those. He creates each individual spindle exactly the way they were done. The little base for the spindles.
All of the chamfered columns. That started out as 16-foot 6x6 columns, and now we have these beautiful chamfered columns that look just like the ones that were there before the fire, but the most unbelievable, mind-blowing, miraculous.
Honestly, second to getting the roof off and putting a new roof on.
I agree.
This is the thing that has caused me
the most stress.
The most stress.
Absolutely.
Is we had 2 round columns
that were there from the 1810.
On the L gallery.
So the first part of the L was built in 1810, the first little section, and it had round columns, and then as they added in 1820 and 40, they changed to chamfered columns. Well, we're putting it back like it was, so we have to do round columns. They are 12 feet tall wooden columns, and
they're probably 10-12 inches in diameter.
Yeah, those don't exist on the market anymore.
Well, they'd be plastic if we were able to get them. We're
not
doing that. So what do? Well, John just mapped it out and figured out how to make those.
This is what's crazy. We went away for a weekend. We came back, and in the living room was this huge stack of 16-foot long, 2x6s. And I was like, what are all these for? That pile of 16-foot long 2x6s has been turned into those round columns. Kevin's going to show you how John did it.
Right, and they are very impressive. They're not up yet. He's not completely finished, so we'll have to show you the finished product in the next video. But it's just fascinating, and it's a load off that we have a person here that can do that.
I mean, it's unbelievable, and we are so grateful. Every day I'm like, John, are you happy? Do you need anything? Can I bring you some chocolate? What would you like, John? Do you need a new tool? What do you need that we need to keep you here and keep you happy? Because he's just
thrilled to be here. He understands the history of this home.
Yeah,
he appreciates the history and
working
the structure of a historic home like that.
300-year-old house.
So he's very happy to be here.
To get to leave your mark, we're so honored to be the ones who are saving this house, but to actually be the one who is creating the materials that save the house, that has to be a whole other level.
I know. I wish I had the skill that he has, but we're so happy to have him.
Yeah, unbelievable.
What's up, boys? Did y'all make something round out of a bunch of square things?
Yeah, right. Too, man.
This is amazing. This is amazing. John, will you tell them what's in there? How you created it?
Basically, we knew we needed a 9-inch circle, so we took that and made a diameter and a radius 4.5 and 9 inches, and just use a piece of straight stick to lay that out and divide that and bisect that twice, and then I knew once it was divided into 8 pieces, we just carved out a piece of 1/4-inch high-speed steel. And as a matter of fact, that's right here.
Oh,
this is ready. Yeah, this is
that's your blade that you created there.
And we just grinded that out on a grinder.
So
until we had the radius right.
So then when you had your pieces,
we
came back in
8 pieces around there
and made cut
We
in
made
each one of
a little
them,
dado plow groove.
both sides.
That goes all the way down. And then we made a little piece of wood to fit and glued all that in there and pulled it up tight with straps. And
You're the man.
and she's round, you know.
You're the man. That's awesome. It looks gorgeous.
Yeah, we're actually going to take this out of here and put it into a little handle and make a scraper. So anywhere where the little tendons got off or something a little bit, where we got a couple of high ridges, and that'll just come along and bring that right back into true again.
Nice. So we got one more to make, right?
Yep, one more to make. We'll do that tomorrow
then
as soon as this glue sets on this.
Capital on the base, and that thing's ready to go in.
Absolutely.
Beautiful. Thank you, John.
Yep.
Well, another thing I'm real excited about, because now that we're living down here in the cottage, we go up and down this hill
500 times a day.
500 times a day.
That's also been part of the weight loss. I can tell you that right now.
It's a good workout, believe me. But we have needed a drive that comes down here.
Carrying groceries down here
It's fun.
in the rain
Yeah.
was taking life and limb into your own hands.
And we've driven down this hill several times, but I love my grass and I want it to come back. I don't want to destroy it any more than it has been destroyed, and so we needed a place to drive and park. And so we had Creative Landscapes come down and put this, clear this, level it, put the rock down. We are so happy with the work that they did.
He was unbelievable. I mean, it's so hard to find people that will give you a reasonable price on something. So many people come to a project like this and they go, "Oh, these people must have stupid money." We don't. We don't even have like we have no smart money. We have no stupid money. we have no money. Okay,
Yes.
This is why we DIY everything, because
Yes.
we have no money.
Well, you've seen that before, I know. Of how did you learn to do all those things,
Yeah.
and how did you learn to do that? Because
I'm poor.
I mean, and that's right.
It's
You
true.
can't take it to somebody and have them do it.
No,
You're
so
poor.
people think that we have, like, you should have seen some of the electrical and plumbing quotes we
goodness,
got.
goodness.
Like, they were offensive. And we got a couple quotes for this driveway that were just stupid. They were stupid. Like, how dumb do you think we are? And Creative Landscapes came out and gave us a wonderful quote. I mean, we were absolutely going to DIY it. But when you're doing something like maybe gonna be working around some electrical lines with an excavator, you think maybe a professional should be doing this, right? We do have the power line that comes in.
No, don't get us wrong. We are willing to pay a reasonable price.
A reasonable price.
We want people to make money when they work for us. But a lot of people take advantage of that, and they don't charge you a reasonable price. They charge you an unreasonable price.
This was 3 hours of work.
Yeah.
This was 3 hours.
They were done
of
by
work.
lunch.
Yeah, they started at 9. They were done by lunch. And the first couple of quotes we got were like 5-digit plus quotes. Stupid.
Yeah.
So we found someone who gave us a reasonable quote, made a great amount of money for 3 hours of work, and did an absolutely beautiful job.
And I also bought some rock from him
Yes.
that I made our rock walk, and I don't know why, but I've been wanting this
Obsessed.
so badly for the cottage.
Obsessed.
Hey, Laine, you like my cute little ass?
I love your cute little ass.
It needs a windy rock path to it.
Now it has one and you put it in.
I did, and I know it doesn't make a lot of sense right now that it goes kind of to the yard and stops, but we are going to put a fence around this cottage and it will end there with a gate, so it will make sense.
Yes, I've
eventually.
just kind of, like, he keeps apologizing that he's not up at the main house with me helping. He's down here working, and I'm like, this is, for some reason, this is your baby. You have been dreaming about this windy stone path up to this teeny tiny cottage. So you just stay down there and work on your little path. And he's killing himself doing it. I'm not disparaging your work. He's nearly died doing it several times.
Yeah.
And I'll just be up here peeling paint. It's fine. We're good. We can work in 2 different places.
You know one thing I've discovered?
What?
Rocks are heavier now than they were 10 to 20 years ago.
When you were 30, they're way
I don't know that has
heavier.
anything to do with it. The rocks are themselves
They've
are
actually gotten maybe
Yeah.
Earth's gravitational pull.
that might be what it is.
It's
yeah,
that.
yeah.
It's definitely not that you're 27 years older now.
Huh.
Do you think?
No.
No,
that's
definitely not
it.
that.
Mhm.
Could be that.
But I'm thrilled with my walk. I think it looks really good.
It does.
And
You
it
are
actually
right.
comes in real handy because we just got mud out here when it rains.
We did plant some grass seeds.
Yes.
We're growing little grasses.
We are growing little grasses. They've only been out like a few days, really, or a week or so.
They're they're like hair plugs. You know, guys get hair plugs and it just kind of starts to come back in all fuzzy and weird. That's what it looks like.
Yes, but we hope to have actual grass
before
someday.
it gets cold here. And the good thing about living in the deep south is that it won't get cold here until like the middle of December. So we've got 2.5 full growing months left. I even put some wildflower seeds out, and I won't be surprised to see those bloom before.
They've already started
I mean,
coming
they're
up.
this tall already.
Yeah.
We just threw them out. We're like, we have them. We'll see what happens.
And I forgot to say that when we put the drive in, we also have some plants that we bought in Florida.
So we've had them for 2.5 months. Well, no, that's a lie. We bought them in May. So
they've been here for a long time, and Laine's been watering them. So we were finally able to put those out, and you found some treasure while you were
holes. And when you dig holes around here, you find treasures.
The byproduct of planting plants.
Treasures. Look at it. It's beautiful.
I can't get it to, hold on, let me get it to
focus
on it.
My dirty fingernails. I think it's early, like onion blossom. It's obviously an early tin glaze because of the blue color. Maybe even a salt glaze. See the little speckles? You probably can't.
Can't get it to focus. There
But
we go.
super early.
Yeah.
I would say definitely 18th century. Treasure. I also got into a red ant hill, and I'm still covered. I got covered in red ant bites. I felt like I had I got so many that for like 2 days I felt like I had the flu. That was bad.
Yeah.
That was badly done.
I got some in the rock walk yesterday.
Really?
Yeah, they were coming up my gloves, and I only got 3 or 4 bites to your 25 to 30.
I don't like to kill anything. Like, I catch the spiders and put them out. I catch the moths and put them out. I catch all the things and put them outside. I was smacking those fire ants.
Biting
Let me tell you
fire
what.
ants, they died.
They died.
Sorry.
They died. So yeah, we got to plant some plants. I found some treasure. We have so many wonderful yard treasures. So that was fun.
Yes, so next up for the Hope Farm restoration, we've actually got electrical starting today. And that's a big deal. Electrical, we've done electrical many times, so it's not as stressful to me, I guess, as some of these other things that we've done.
Nah.
But it is a big deal to get electrical put back in this house.
That's the first thing that's like, it starts to feel like a livable structure when you start roughing and plumbing and electrical.
Right.
That is the difference between this is just in the dry and this is, we're going to live here sometime in the not too distant future.
Yes, and we've got plumbing starting next week. We still don't have an HVAC quote that we can live with. So if you're out there watching and you do heat and air, we need a decent price. I mean, that we are putting a lot in. It's a lot of space, but I mean, we know how much it should cost. That's the thing.
And here's the deal. This is part of the reason that the quotes were so ridiculous. We understand when you're retrofitting a historic home that has plaster walls and ceilings, and you got to be careful, and you got to thread those wires, you got to snake stuff through. Yeah, the cost is going to be higher. This house is like it's gutted.
It's open.
It is like a new build home. Running wire. Look, I'm getting loud because I'm getting mad at the stupid quotes we got. Running the wires it's literally just standing there and like stapling them to the studs. It's the easiest rough in. Just like, what I know is that even though it's a large project, it's not a long project because it's open, it's easy to do, and there's already like channeling done. If you don't even need to channel stuff, there's already channeling and you can see it because the ceiling's open. Anyway, I have to stop talking about that.
I know. It's ready to go, and we need an HVAC, but we'll get that figured out here in the next week or so. That's all that's happening so far the last month or so. We sure do appreciate you being here. We've got a lot of new people that came in from our cottage before and after. This is what we do. It's not a here's a before, here's an after, it's all done. This is going to take us at least 2 years. We're a year in now, right? Really coming up right on a year.
Yeah,
right?
November will be a year.
November will be a year, so we've accomplished a lot. To 5,000 square feet, 9 acres that burned.
Well, and then another 700 square feet that
we had to completely redo here.
If you haven't watched that video, go watch it.
I mean, we've got more work still that we've got to do here.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit slow, but you're going to learn a lot of things about historic structures and how to properly do a restoration on those specific materials. But we're glad you're here. If you like this video, share it with a friend. Give us a like. and subscribe to our channel, and we will see you next time.
And I want you to say, if you're new here, if you came from the cottage video, because we got a ton of people who came from the cottage video, go back and watch this whole Restoring Hope series
Sure.
so you can get caught up on what's going on here. So when we do the reveal, when we're finally done with Hope, you'll know.
You'll be in it with
where
us.
she started and
Yeah.
what she's going to end up like. We love you and appreciate you. Thank you so much.
We'll see you next time.